Okay.
Hi, Kara Welke, creator of Next Level Occupational Therapy. We are a community of occupational therapy professionals that are on a mission to help other occupational therapy professionals level up, either by starting their own business or helping them go even farther in their current business. We have noticed that there is limited opportunities for education for OT entrepreneurs out there. So that is why we started the Next Level Occupational Therapy Facebook group, and we now have a membership site called the Next Level Occupational Therapy Visionaries. I have been interviewing occupational therapists and occupational therapy assistants over the past several weeks and learning about how they started their business and tips and recommendations they have. On today's show, it is my pleasure to welcome Mandy Chamberlain. She's an occupational therapist with a passion for working with the older adult population and the founder of SeniorsFlourish.com and the membership site, the Learning Lab. Both are dedicated to helping other geriatric OTs to be the best they can be through education, resources, tips, and videos. Her varied clinical background includes working with geriatrics through long-term care, home health services, home modification consulting, assisted living, inpatient, critical access, and outpatient therapy services. When she is not busy working as an independent contractor, consulting, and running a website, she is enjoying the life in the mountains of Colorado with 3 energetic kids and an inspiring husband, all while sipping coffee and planning the next family travel adventure. That sounds a lot like me, actually. My passion is older adults, and I think I've worked pretty much at everywhere you said. I don't drink coffee, but we love traveling, and my husband's pretty inspiring, and I have 3 energetic kids. So,
Oh, I know. It keeps
welcome.
you busy.
How old are your kids?
I have a daughter that's 6, and I have 5-year-old twin boys.
Okay, so
very energetic stages.
That you're doing. I mean, I wish I would have went out and done my own business when my kids were younger, so I could have had more the time and financial freedom. But
yeah,
oh well, I'll have it now, I guess.
Yeah.
So Mandy, can you start by telling us about SeniorsFlourish.com and the Learning Lab?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Thanks for listening to this. Oh, Kara, I can talk a lot, so make sure you when you have your own podcast and you're on social media, I can talk a lot. So cut me off if you need to.
That's okay. I have that problem as well. It's not a problem. It's a good thing. I shouldn't say it's a problem.
I agree. It's a good quality to have, especially as an OT. Okay. So I started SeniorsFlourish.com. You know what? I should have maybe looked at my dates, but I think it was in 2015 when my twin boys were like 1. They were tiny. I thought I was going to be staying home after my plan was to work part-time after they were born, but I had 3 infants. I had 3 kids under the age of 13 months. And it was like not having triplets, but having triplets. It's like daycare for 3 infants is ridiculously expensive. Us as OTs, we don't do that well. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'm going to be staying home. And, but then I was really, I just felt like I just always had that need to learn. And I also had that, like, I've said it before, but like, I always feel like my brain is going to turn mushy or something. Like I was just like needing some kind of like adult interactions, stimulation, something. And, so I started SeniorsFlourish.com just because literally on a whim, I was like, I can just start writing things for caregivers, kind of more of a caregiver angle.
Yeah.
And so that's how Seniors Flourish started. And because people always ask, but why isn't the word OT in the title? Because all these other OT type websites, and it's because it was actually geared towards caregivers. And so I just started writing, tips out there from a kind of an OT standpoint, from a medical standpoint. And then I started having a ton of other OT practitioners reaching out to me saying like, this is information I need. This is information. These are things that I feel like I should know, but like, I just don't. I didn't have a level 2 in it. And now I'm working in home health. I started my career in home health. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like, why aren't I should be gearing this towards fellow OT practitioners. So then I kind of just shifted gears and started writing content for OT practitioners and mainly, level 2 students, I would say in general. And it just kind of grew and grew and grew. It just grew really fast. And I wasn't monetizing it. I wasn't doing anything that you're quote supposed to do for a online, website. There wasn't a lot of, there was at the time, there was like a holistic OT and her name's Emmy, and she still blogs and does courses and things like that. But and lots of really great pediatric websites, OT practitioners and, family and things like that. But there was nothing for adults, older adults.
Right.
And so I just decided, like, you know what, I'm just going to grow this. And I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit. And I was like, how can I make this into a business, essentially? Because I was getting tons and tons and tons of emails. And I wanted that connection. So I would literally, and I still do, I'm really pretty good about answering all the emails because I feel like that, people are reaching out because they are looking for resources and they're looking for support. And so I just was like answering emails, but I was answering a lot of the same types of questions. People kind of like a similar, experiences. Like I was saying, like they're working at a job that they didn't think they were ever going to. They thought, I'm going into pediatrics when they're in school, and they get out in the world, and then all they can find is a job, let's say, in, skilled nursing or something, which wasn't necessarily their plan. But now they're like, oh man, now I need to figure out all the resources I can get to, succeed in that area. So I kind of started doing some research, and I learned about membership sites. I didn't really know about membership sites because this was in 2000 when I started the whole idea. I started blogging, I think 2015, 2016. I was like, okay, what are some other platforms, or what else could I do? And membership sites, they've really exploded in the last, I'd say, couple of years. But there wasn't a lot of membership sites like what I was kind of looking to do. There were CEU websites, and of course the typical membership sites that we think of, like Netflix and those things, those services. But I was trying to figure out, like, how could I create a model where it was a one-to-many versus a one-to-one, and still serve the people that I'm trying to connect with, and like give them the resources they need and want, and create a community. And so I decided the membership, a model, I'm going to try it. I'm like, it's like one of those things, like I'm just going to try it out. But there was no other OT ones out there to even say, like, okay, like these guys are doing it. Is this viable? I didn't know if necessarily membership site itself was viable. I knew that, getting out there and answering questions and helping provide resources was what people were needing. So I was trying to help fill, a pain point, essentially, right?
Yep.
And so I started asking my audience, because I had, in the last prior few years, I had been, collecting an email list. I had been, having followers on social media. And so I just started asking people what they'd want.
Right.
And that's kind of, I think that goes along with any business. It doesn't matter if you're brick and mortar, or if you're online, or if you want to just develop products or ebooks or whatever it is. I really feel like you really need to ask people, because what you have in your mind sometimes and what you want to do isn't necessarily the things that people always need.
Right. Right.
And especially as somebody who had at the time, because now I've been practicing almost 17 years. At the time, so I've been practicing 13 years, something like that. I can't even remember. but things that I think would be helpful could be very, very different than somebody that's actually a new grad or on their level 2, trying to figure out, looking for the resources. And as we know, like, things change over the years of the profession. And so I just started, like, literally asking, doing surveys. It's hard to get people to do surveys. So I gave away a lot of things. And, and just getting input, and seeing what is actually what is their need. So I decided to do the membership route. And I started kind of mapping it out and, doing all the research on membership plugins and all this stuff. I started my website on WordPress because I didn't really know what I was going to be doing with my website. And so I built the whole thing, which is great, which is really, because I know the ins and outs but there's so many easier options these days that people feel intimidated by WordPress. Right. You can do, Squarespace and Wix and all these other types of things to make it much more plug and play if you're not really ready to jump in to the WordPress realm. So yeah, I just started that and started developing it and, got people on the wait list and just like trying to research as much as I could about membership sites. And then launched, which was a little rocky at the beginning. I like to always say it's like a learning experience.
Yep.
Just like any other business. And really, really wanting feedback is always my big thing. But it's really hard to get people to give feedback, especially if it's something that they don't really like everything about it, Right. And so trying to make it anonymous or trying to because that feedback is very important to business owners because we need to know how can we improve it. And so, doing a lot of things anonymously really helped a lot, being very specific with the questions I'm asking, not too vague, and things like that to really make a customer experience, something that they want and something that they'll use. Who wants to pay or get into something that they're not going to use or get results from?
Right,
so
exactly.
Yeah. So it's just things like that and where I started, and it's grown. So I launched in March of 2017. It took me a long time to pull the trigger to actually do it. I think part of it is because I was bootstrapping it and I literally, like I said before, did it myself. And so, there's pros and cons to that. I think there's an advantage of knowing the ins and outs, and I know everything about it. And, saving money as I'm going along because I was home and I wasn't making an income. I was working PRN, but,
right.
It's PRN. I launched it, and so I've had it for about I can't even believe it's been 2.5 years now, which is insane.
That's awesome.
So crazy, but it is the best thing I've ever done in lots of ways, just from filling my little OT heart, right? Yep. To being a business owner and also providing a service I truly believe in that I can really make an impact on a different scale. You know what I mean? Because at first I was kind of a little okay, I'm working PRN and I'm doing the website. And I don't know. I always kind of had this feeling of I feel like I should be practicing more, or should I? But I also feel okay, if I just look at the big picture, I'm doing everything that I want to do. I want to help others. I want to, be a businesswoman. I want to, support other OTs. So it's been amazing. So
that's awesome. Yeah. So with your membership site, can you tell us more about what all do people get when they're part of your membership site?
Yeah. So I do so it's really geared towards, in general, I'd say it's geared towards new graduates and people on level 2 fieldworks, or maybe even people that have transitioned from, they've worked in pediatrics for a really long time and now they're going to be working even in inpatient rehab or something. There's okay, I need to brush up on everything. But I also have, people who are fieldwork coordinators and they're looking for new ideas. I have director of rehabs that are looking, they have group memberships trying to get some new ideas in their facilities. I have people that just feel kind of burnt out and they feel okay, I need to up the game a little bit, right. you know, and things like that. So the biggest thing is I really want people to have the tools and the resources that they need to feel successful. And so we all Google and Pinterest things all the time, which is great. Cause I do too, right? Let's be honest. But also you kind of want those, an evidence-based platform that has these things at your fingertips. You can pull out an assessment right now. You can pull out an education video on anything from clinical, like, I'm trying to think, splinting, tips for splinting, or how to, those kind of things, to adjusting a walker, to occupation-based treatment ideas for cognition, or group activity ideas, or things like that. So there's education videos, and I do, there's like less than 10-minute education videos, because who has time? Let's be honest.
Right, exactly. Well, and they say, shorter videos, the better.
Short and easy. Or you can print it off if you're not a visual learner, if you're like, you like to, so it's short videos on, like, say, clinical, treatment ideas, those kind of things. Let's see, an assessment area, so they can print off assessments right there. Clinical resources, protocols and things like that. Occupation-based activity ideas. We have a journal club. We do discussion. We have Wednesday wins, where we celebrate fun things that have been going on in their OT life, and people can win prizes and bonuses. And we just kind of have a lot of things going on. Each week there's something new going on in the lab. So just trying to, keep it fresh and get people involved, and just create that sense of community. So we also have a forum on the site, and then we have a private Facebook group as well.
Okay. And now, are you still using WordPress?
Still using WordPress. Yep. Oh, once you start, I'm not changing. But I mean, the thing of it is now because I have it down, I know what I'm doing.
Right.
Super robust. And I think a lot of those other ones, you can add things really easily now too.
Right.
But I can just add and subdomain and do whatever I need. I'm like, okay, yeah,
right.
That's
amazing that you can do all of that. I love it. I love it. So, because I've had a lot of help with getting my stuff set up. So, and I appreciate that, but then I learn from what they do, and then I go and kind of do my own things.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So on your membership site, they have a Facebook group, and then they also have a login through your WordPress on your website, right?
Yep.
Awesome. So for people that are interested in maybe creating a membership site, how long did it take to get the numbers that you were happy with in your membership site?
It took me a while. I think part of it is the marketing aspect on social media was a big thing for me. And I would say it took me at least probably a year and a half, which actually, thinking about it, it's not that bad.
Right.
But, I am a goal setter, and I have high expectations of myself, and I am driven, but I also have had 3 kids at home. And so, I feel like, I do try to celebrate those that I've done this well with kids and everything else in between. So yeah, I'd say about a year and a half before I felt okay, now I feel okay, now we're kind of rocking.
Right.
And now and then it's you're always learning about, your business or online business or whatever you're kind of working on is trying different avenues and seeing what works and what doesn't. Things last year I had, spent money to go to the academic fieldwork. Let's see, I can't even think of the word. AOTA conference, before the AOTA conference is the academic. Yeah.
Yep.
I was, trying to decide, because I had a lot of fieldwork coordinators reaching out and saying okay, this is a really good resource. For our people on fieldwork, it's not like a textbook, but people are online all the time. So I had a lot of fieldwork coordinators reaching out saying okay, how can we get this set up? And I was well, maybe, trying to promote and market to that demographic, right? Fieldwork educators, right, or directors of OT schools. Maybe that's a good angle to try, and, I spent a lot of money on it and it was okay. You know what I mean? Right. It's living and learning, saying okay, maybe that's not, I think part of it is the way that the conference was set up personally.
Right. Well, actually, you know what? Me and you need to talk. I started an initiative it's been 2 years ago on increasing occupation-based, evidence-based, client-centered practice and fieldwork sites. And yeah, we should talk because we have a whole
let's do it.
Sorry, podcast listener. You're not going to get to listen on this. Something to come in the future. But no, I mean, we have a whole ad hoc group working on this. And yeah, I'd love to visit with you because I'll just say it. And fieldwork sites, a lot of them are horrible. I mean, it's rough out there. Students come back and all they see is TheraBand and UBE, and that's about it. And it's my biggest pet peeve. So.
Well, and it's really hard because they also feel like that's kind of like what the culture is, like what they learn in school, and then they get out there, and this is part of my whole Seniors Flourish like platform thing anyway. But it's like, you get out there and that's not what it looks like.
Right.
And then they're like, well, I don't know how to actually, should I be doing this? Like, this is kind of like I'm the new person, or I'm young, or people are going to think,
yeah.
So it's like trying to change, like people's confidence and saying like, you can do it. Look at the evidence, look at what the research is showing. and like, let's do this. And then like, honestly, in the Facebook group, because everybody in there is very like-minded, right? They want to elevate the profession in that sense of like my little, tagline is disrupt the norm. Right. And it's just like getting that confidence and knowing there's people all over the whole United States. I have members from all over the world that are really trying to do that. And, and it doesn't have to be in skilled nursing, and it doesn't have to be in home health. Home health obviously is a little bit easier because you're in the home, but I mean, inpatient rehab, like there's so many settings where we're working with older adults, and like that, those are things are not being done. And so like, how can we make it easier? And, so anyway, that's part of my mission. That's part of my mission.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, but anyway, I guess what I'm saying is like, I think it's a learning process. Like the marketing has always been my biggest, it's hard because,
well, put it this way, people don't want to spend money for anything either.
I know. And I understand. And that's the thing is like, you get that. Yeah. And I get that. And also, it's just hard. So it's like actually trying to really pinpoint what people are having a hard time in, and then how does your service or product or whatever, how does that solve that problem?
Exactly.
And so because I could start dishing, if I start just dishing out, these are the things I have, which are great. Like I have, education videos, and I have, assessments, and that's wonderful. And people like that, but that's not what sells them and tells them that what I'm trying to provide to them is worthwhile, or what they want. But I mean, like I almost 50% of the members are level 2 fieldwork students.
Yeah.
And a lot will stay and then continue on while they get their job. Or, I have tons of people that stop after the fieldwork and then come back. So it's great. Like I love that.
I think your prices are very reasonable.
Yeah.
I mean, would be perfect for any fieldwork student and person just starting out, or anybody that needs to kind of get back to what should they be doing with the older adult population. So, well,
in pricing, that's another good segue topic is, pricing is really tricky because I'm not, helping them make more money. I'm not, like the things that I'm not doing. And a lot of them are students or they're just getting out in the field. And so I really believe in trying to keep it very cost effective. Because I want more people. I'm like, I guess if I need it if that price point needs to be that low, like I just needed more people in it.
Right. Exactly.
So that's kind of my philosophy on it. Like I really, there's going to be price changes and things are going to change. I just had a recent price change just a couple weeks ago. But like, I just really believe in like, if you can show the value in what you're providing, but also find that happy medium, because you start looking at all these gurus and membership sites and they're, helping, and they're like, it's super expensive. But I think you just have to look at who you're serving and what is appropriate for your clientele. That's how I'm doing it anyway.
Yep, exactly. No, that's a very good point.
Yeah.
So you kind of talked to us about how you started with the Senior Flourish, and that's how it kind of turned into also creating the membership site.
Yeah.
And so is there anything else like in that journey from creating that membership site until now that that you want to share that could help other people in creating membership sites? Like, how do you go about doing it? Or what was you shared a few things with us, but anything else you want to share?
I think that there is a level, I think there's definitely a level of, there's not a level of if you build it, they will come. You really need to have a game plan and know who you're serving. How do you connect with them, and how do you, show that this membership site or website, even blogging, blogging is a really, that's a whole nother topic. Pediatric OTs, I love ya. You guys are awesome. We struggle in the adult OT blogging world. I do a lot of blogging to help increase traffic to my website. It also increases exposure, and I think that it increases people start seeing, okay, these blog posts are really good, or she's putting out this really great content, or it's evidence-based and I like that, or these are fun activities. And you have to kind of it's like this whole conglomerate online website creation. You have Facebook groups. Some people like to go the Facebook group route, like you do, creating that community that way. I blog a lot and connect with people through podcasting. So I have my own podcast as well. I think you have to also find kind of what your strengths are. If you have a brick and mortar business and you do really well with face-to-face, do free presentations. I do free presentations online, and that is a really good marketing strategy for me. Also, it just kind of gets my name out, gets the word out, and creates that. I always kind of go back to the know, like, and trust factor. People feel like they kind of know who you are. They trust that what you are providing is legitimate, especially when we're talking about a professional website or a professional something more. It's not like we're talking about travel hacks. We're talking about something that's from a professional evidence and something that we can use clinically standpoint. And then they just learn to trust you, and you send out emails, or you have email sequence, or whatever that may be. But I feel like there's also a strong level. You need to have a strong level of consistency, and that is one of the hardest things. I think is in general, because you get really excited at the beginning and you're like, okay, I can do this. This is exciting. This is fun, because it is. And then, first you're just kind of doing what inspires you, right? You're like, I'm going to do, and I still do that. I definitely still do that. Be like, oh, I'm going to do a blog post on this, or I'm going to do a quick Facebook Live on this, based upon something I've read or experienced in the clinic or whatever. But life happens. And if you don't have a plan on how you're going to create the consistency, I just think it's a lot harder. I shouldn't say it's not doable, but it's definitely a lot harder if you don't have that consistency, from my experience anyway.
Right. No, I agree. That consistency is huge. So I was even just thinking about it. I don't know why, but I was thinking about it today. What if I get sick, or what if, luckily our platform is, we have a whole set of mentors that are kind of running it. They would, for instance, this morning, I'm our blog post, or whoever was going to do the blog post can't. And someone else is like, well, I'll write one up, or, so it's nice. So I have that whole team to help me. But yeah, it was just interesting. I was leaving a client post and membership platform, the Facebook group. I'm like, what if I get sick?
I know.
What happens? You have to have that plan in place.
You do. And I automate a lot.
Yeah.
I batch a lot of information. So I'll do a bunch of little videos, or I'll, Pinterest posts or Facebook posts or whatever. And then I put it in kind of automatic publishing things for
Yeah.
those things. I mean, you have to go on vacation sometime. I mean,
Exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
life happens. And
Yep.
so it's like, you know, trying to figure out and the balance. Like for me, it's really important to be able to connect with people. And so I want that, oh, what's the right way to say it? Like I want that personalization, but you also need to like be strategic and like have a game plan, because you're also like one person or a person with team. Like I'm technically the only person employed, but I, you know, hire contractors and
Yep.
help with projects and things like that as well. So, you know, it's like you have your team sort of, but it's not like we're all like hanging out in the office, like having this game plan.
Well, and I think too, this online world of business, it is hard because you're always wanting to check and see, okay, does anyone need anything? And it's like, okay, no, I need to separate my family time, personal life, you know, but yet you want to be consistent. So
it's really hard. And if you're
Yeah.
really good at boundaries, I think that's even better. But I mean, like for me, it was so like, I was just home a lot. And so for a while I was like, what am I doing? Because then I felt like I was doing it all the time, because I wouldn't have like this distinguished time period because, you know, kids and life. And then, you know, I'd be working, they go to bed or whatever. And I'd be like working on it from 7 to, you know, 10 p.m. And I'd be like, okay, I mean, this is great, but like, I can't be doing this forever. But also there's a lot of upfront work and there's a lot of behind the scenes work that people don't realize. And it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
It is. And I agree. My husband always is jokes. He's like, you know, are you up to a dime an hour yet? And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm still at a penny an hour, if not.
I know.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. But a lot of times, you know, for me anyway, since I have been doing this for a while, definitely having systems in place make a big difference.
Right.
And kind of finding your flow and tweaking it. And I mean, like even today on my to-do list is to update my email auto sequence for, you know, and I'm like, cause I saw like one, I was like, oh man, that needs to be updated. And you're like, oh, or an old link you sent someone to some, you know, old blog post that was perfect at the time. And then you're like, oh man.
Right. Yep.
I'm like, oh man, I didn't even know because it was on autopilot. And then I'm like, oh geez. Okay.
Yep.
But it's just things like that, you know, just trying to stay on top of it. And, you know, it's all the website stuff. And
do you have a virtual assistant that helps you with things, or you're all yourself? That's
awesome. My husband helps me with certain things. And then like I said, I hire for projects on certain things.
Okay.
Like if I need help with blog writing, or if I need help with my, you know, email sequence, or if I need help with that, I hire people to help with that, because I mean, gosh, you're only one person, like not enough hours in a day. Exactly. We always kind of joke, right, that, you know, entrepreneurs will work 100 hours so they don't have to work 40 hours for someone else, right?
Yep. Exactly.
It's so true. I'm like, how many hours can I work on this? All day. I can work on it all day.
I know. It's easy to get caught up in it all.
It is. I find it really hard, because once I start sometimes it's hard for me to get going. I'm very much a to-do list kind of gal and cross it out. And I try to be like, okay, once I get these things done, I'm done for the day. But I just start rocking and rolling. And then always things take longer than you think.
Yep.
So you'll be like, okay, I'm just going to add this pricing thing to my sales page. Not a big deal. And then you're like, ooh, and then it just starts.
Yep.
Maybe I should. And you're just like, I'm like digging this hole. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just found 20 more jobs for myself to do.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, I mean, you've given us tons of tips. And I always ask everyone if they have 5 tips to share with someone that wants to be an entrepreneur. And it can be 5 tips in general, or it could be 5 tips, you know, for your membership site, which you've given us a lot of tips already. But for anybody thinking about becoming or starting their own business, what are your 5 biggest tips you would have?
Well, let's start with number 1. I think number 1 is you really need to jump in. And it's one of those things, everybody kind of says that once they're already in it. You know, imposter syndrome is real. And you're like, okay, can I do this? Should I do this? Like, can I afford to do this? who says I should be doing this? Right. And I think
true. It's like, just do it.
It's so true. And you're never going to feel ready. I always use the analogy like maybe this is a bad analogy. Okay. This is my analogy. I never felt ready. Like, well, am I ready for kids? Am I going to have kids?
Yep.
Should I have kids now? Should I wait till I'm more financially stable? Should I wait till should I move to this house? Should I wait? You just got to do it sometime.
Yep, exactly.
And that's how I kind of feel about a business. And I also, okay, so that's one. Number two is that there's no one that says you have to do it full throttle from the beginning.
Yep, exactly.
And, I did it kind of on the side, growing it with my young kids, and I was working part-time, and then I was just working PRN. And then I was just kind of like, it was like my side gig. Right. But I also, so I feel like sometimes people feel like I can't quit my job and jump right in. Everybody says jump right in. But the truth of it is it doesn't, I say jump in as in start it. Yep. But I also really, really feel like it doesn't have to be your income replacement at the moment, because let's be honest, it probably won't be.
Right. And that's how I did it too. I mean, I'm still doing multiple things, but it's nice to kind of start it as a side job. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Another one is connect with others. So if you're, I guess this is I think it's important to any business, but especially if you're online, because it is like an island, I think. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've been doing this for almost 5 years now, and I still feel like that. I have met some of my favorite people through social media and online, and connecting with other OT entrepreneurs or bloggers and things like that support each other. It is really, really important. And because you are just kind of especially online, you're just putting this information out to the world, and you're I hope somebody likes it. Nobody's telling me anything. And you get, like I said before, you get a lot of limited feedback.
Right.
And so you're just well, all right. So it's nice to have someone and form those relationships with people that can give you some feedback and be okay, yeah, this website doesn't actually make sense because you've been staring at it all day, every day for the last, 5 months, and you think it makes complete sense, but maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But I mean, having that person, or having a group, or having a mentor, or having whatever to connect with and say yes, you can do this, because sometimes you don't feel like you do, especially if you're working somewhere where there's no one else doing it. I mean, I don't know any other OTs around where I live that are doing anything remotely what I'm doing. And it's really funny because people will be so you have a website? I'm yeah, I have a website. It's just people just don't understand the concept, which is, I don't expect them to, but it's nice to have those connections.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was number 3. That was my number 3. Okay. Number 4. Now I lost my train of thought. Oh no. Have fun and enjoy the process. Because being an entrepreneur for me is so fun. I love it. I can talk shop all day, strategize, talk about what works, talk about what doesn't, figure out new and fun ways to do things. And so it's fun, but it's also stressful.
Yep.
Because you feel oh, I should be, progressing faster, or you just, when you have that mindset, you just want more. You want to succeed because you're so driven, because you believe in what you're doing. And so sometimes, I know I would get kind of hard on myself and be okay, especially those first couple years, honestly, those first years before I even started the Learning Lab, I'm what am I doing? Why am I spending this much time on it? And I don't even have a real solid game plan. I don't know that, you know what I mean? I just kind of felt but I just kind of believed in it. And so now, the fruits of my labor are really paying off, and I'm really trying to celebrate that more instead of just being go, 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 because it's not about, I mean, it is about the business, but I really, truly believe in connecting and helping the people that are part of my membership site. Like that's what
Yep.
I really want to do. And that's, I think, a very OT characteristic,
Mhm.
right? And so
Yeah.
like if that was gone out of the picture, it wouldn't satisfy me. It wouldn't fill me like it does. I just feel like I'm fortunate that I get to do both. Like I get to help others and I get to do like all the techie nerdy stuff that I like.
Right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I wish I had more of the techie nerdy stuff experience.
Well, it took me a while. I didn't have any experience at all. Like I didn't know anything about websites at
Okay.
all.
Yep.
Like at all.
That was me too.
So I guess saying is, I guess the last thing, okay, segue into the last thing is just like saying that you can do it. Like you can do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know anything about websites. People were like, "Oh, Mandy, you've been blogging forever, and now you podcast forever." I've been podcasting 2 years. I've been, I made this conglomerate, right? Like it's created. But if you think about it, it's years of me working on it consistently.
Right. Yeah.
And so like, yeah, now I look at it, I'm like, holy moly, it's huge. Like the website's huge, the membership site's huge. Like I have, a good following in social media. My email list is big. Like I have all these things, but like I had to start somewhere. Like this took years of developing and working towards a goal. And so I think it's like, can't compare yourself to other people, which is hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
But we all had to start somewhere. It's like when you start as a clinician, like you just look at these clinicians that have been doing it forever, or things look so easy for them. You're like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. But we all started as, new grad OTs working in home health, not knowing what the heck I'm doing.
Yep.
So
great.
I'd say those are my top tips. I just really, really believe in the same things that you do, that there should be more OT entrepreneurs, and that we have such a good skill set and we are super kind. I mean, I feel like that's part of the reason why I felt like I could figure it out. Like I'm just kind of that problem solver. We're all problem solvers, or resourceful, if nothing else. Like if we don't know what the heck we're doing, like we can use the resources available to, especially now. I mean, even in the last 5 years that I've been doing it, like the number of resources out there to help people with websites and, coding or whatever the heck you have to be doing there's so much more out there than even when I started. Like, I feel like you just need to kind of follow your passion and where your drive, like what drives you, because it's just like any other job. You will, you could potentially get burnt out. You're doing way more than you need to. So it's like having that kind of game plan and knowing that, just sticking with it and like being true to yourself really makes a difference.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, I love it. I love everything about it. I had a student, was a year ago now, or maybe that sent me your information. She's in Denver, and she's like, have you heard about this, and this? It's like totally what you preach and da da da. And I'm like, oh yeah. So that was pretty cool. So, but yeah, no, it would be great to have you get connected with our academic group, and so we can try to hit hard some of these students are in these skilled nursing facilities, home health facilities, things like that. So
perfect.
So yeah. Well, I'll wrap up. Well, thank you so much for visiting with us. And if anyone has any questions for Mandy, where's the best place to go? Just to what?
Yeah, seniorsflourish.com. Of course, there's a contact me, but I'm on social media. Of course, I have, a Facebook page, and then also I'm really, really active on Instagram. So a lot of people find me through Instagram as well, but I'm around. I'm always floating around trying to see what's going on.
So for sure, reach out if you are a new grad, even if you're still in school, if you're working with the older population, you need to reach out and check out seniorflourish.com and the membership site. So thank you everyone for listening. I hope you all have a fabulous day.
Thanks.